You gotta give the new Castlevania Dominus collection a try. I bought it just because I wanted to support the franchise since it's like dead or whatever, but I've enjoyed my time with it way more than I ever expected. I've only played the first one, which is actually the last one, but I didn't know when I started to play it. It's the first in the listing for some reason. Order of Ecclesia. I am absolutely loving this game. It starts off simple enough with a few weapon options, or as the game calls them, glyphs, but soon enough you'll be able to get many more, each introducing its own unique way of attacking, some of them being right out given to the player, with other ones being more out of the way. They'll either be off the beaten path, or a somewhat rare drop from an enemy, and sometimes only obtainable in a very small time frame when the enemy is attacking. One of the things I like so much about this game is that it forces you to experiment with your glyphs. You can't just rely on the same one for every encounter. Some enemies are resistant to specific glyphs but very weak against others. Figuring out which one is the right one for the job is pretty fun. Early on you will get an ability to quick switch between 3 presets of glyphs, so you won't have to constantly be fumbling through the menus to change out which ones you are using. You can equip 2 glyphs at the same time, being either 2 of the same or 2 different ones. Some glyphs greatly benefit from being double equipped, being able to alternate between X and Y to get rapid attacks out. Or in the case of this green energy shot, if you do the attack right after the other, the blast will become even bigger and hit more times than usual. While other times it's best to have a mixture of glyphs for more attack variation. Some glyphs that I would almost never use would randomly become useful if I ran into a problem. I never used this shield glyph before, but as soon as I noticed I was getting shot from above, I knew it would be useful. The game will never outright tell you which glyphs to use in these cases. Your success is dependent on your ability to solve problems in real time. If you keep throwing yourself at the problem without making any changes to your approach, well, I have a definition for you to read. I think the game shines the most with its bosses. It starts off simple enough, being very easy to but as we move along, their patterns become more complex. Still though, if you know what you are doing, you can beat these things without taking any damage. That's a lot easier said than done, but it is possible. Bosses are like puzzles, they are a problem to be solved. Avoiding damage can be a bigger part of the solution than actually hitting them is. Most of the times you can hit them wherever, but other times you need to target a specific area. These things are a joy to fight. They have purposely designed solutions, and if you're observant enough, you can take advantage of this. It's very obvious to tell that they were constructed in this way. I'm a pretty big God of War fan. I even made a 2+ hour video on the first game. Order of Ecclesia reminds me of God of War, specifically because of the problem solving. God of War does something similar with its gameplay, even more specifically with its second boss. It also being a boss that you can completely avoid damage from if you know what you are doing, for the most part. But honestly, I think it's just way better executed here. That might be because it's easier to understand because it's a 2D game. Every attack is telegraphed to some degree, so getting hit never feels like it's cheap or unfair. There is a big element of trial and error to this game, since you won't be able to recognize all the incoming attacks from the get-go. Once you get it down though, it all becomes a game of execution. I might have made it sound like it becomes very easy at that point, but knowing is only half the battle. Exploration can directly reward you in these boss encounters, since like I said before, not every glyph is on the beaten path. For this battle with Death, I picked the Medusa familiar, since Death has a lot of projectiles flying around. The Medusa would help negate this since they constantly circle around you. This meant that I wouldn't have my additional damage from my Owl familiar, but in this case it was more than worth it. The game does a very good job of balancing these 3 elements out: exploration, pattern recognition, and execution. If you haven't already, give this collection a shot. It's only 24 USD at the moment, and I haven't even touched the other 2 games, and most people talk mostly about those other 2 games, so I'm excited for what lies ahead. There's also a GBA collection, which I will totally check out at one point once I get a chance. I got a lot of stuff in production. Next week is when Marvel vs. Capcom collection comes out, and you know I'm gonna make a video about that for real. Let me know in the comments what other game I should cover. This was a very quick overview of the game, and I just wanted to do it because of how much I'm enjoying the game. I usually go way more in depth with these kind of things, and I will eventually do a in-depth review of this game once I get a chance. Alright, don't sub, peace out.